what kind of response would you get?
Sometimes positive, sometimes not. Right? Well, I think overall, except for in the Black Cultural Center, overall positive. Mm. So even if not some trusting outpouring, right? A sense that was a good thing to have happened. And let's keep that up. Mm-hmm. So that little bits and pieces, right? A little bit more. I'm talking about relationship building here. So overall, positive. My conversations with individuals, very positive. Save one or two, mm-hmm. Right? So that's how I saw my role to start with. Then I had my epiphany about, all right, so that was my reactive role.
Yeah.
Then here, proactive. Mm-hmm. Here's what I can do. Mm-hmm. And I suppose also proactively, although you come into a place and there's no infrastructure, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. We want you to run this business, and we're going to take you to it. Great. Where is it? Here are the coordinates. This is a grid reference. If you use your GPS and type in these 20 numbers, it'll send you there. Great. So you go there, and you literally are in the middle of a field. Mm-hmm. And somebody is standing next to you and say, we want you to run this business. Okay, then. So to create an organization and discover how do we structure it? How do we structure it to be responsive to our particular needs? Mm-hmm. So what they've been doing up in Minnesota for years works for them. Mm-hmm. What they've been doing at Penn State for years works for them, apparently, right? Or not, because every place went through its stuff mm-hmm. at that point in time. And you'd think the Ivies would have had this dialed. Apparently not. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So taking information, doing research, and trying to put something together that worked for what I could see. And then the one person who I was working with, Nora Azizan Gardner, mm-hmm. Input from her, what she had been seeing, and then input from others who ultimately kind of became the senior leadership team of the mm-hmm. Division of Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity that I was leading. So that was going on too. So reactive, proactive, right? Mm-hmm. There's no, you are the employee in this job. So make a business. Great. I'll react to that by creating the business and structure the business so that it will be proactive. So that we are not back here next year, 5 years from now, 10 mm-hmm. years from now. Which, by the way, we will be. Then, in the end, this is the first time I've talked about this to anyone other than my wife and my pastor. Really, since the spring of 2016. Because I left that role wounded. Yeah. But now, I've thought about it more. I mean, I processed the pain and the emotion of the wounds, and thought about what the job was. Because you asked me what I thought mm-hmm. versus what was the job. Those are two different questions. The job, and this frustrated me, because there was too little of me. I am too few. Was to talk to people. That was the job. And the reason that was the job is for the relationship building. Mm-hmm. That wasn't and is the job. That's the job. You have to be here talking to people all the time. While the senior leadership team does the hard work. Not. Okay. actually talking to people all the time is extremely hard work for me. Because I'm extremely private, introverted. It's emotionally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. I lost 10 pounds and went down in my waist size 4 inches from November to May.
That is a pretty significant thing. That's a pretty significant bodily response to stress.
Yeah. Yeah, my body ate itself. One of the first things I said, like the first day, and people are trying to interview me, who the hell is this guy? What are you going to do? What's your plan? And I said, I'm going to go talk to people. And I will stay in this job until I am used up. And I got used up. And I left the job.
How did you know that was time?
I knew it was time when I started to become afraid of talking to people. That's a great question. Not unanticipated, because I've thought about why am I leaving? Why now? But I think this is the first time I've given that short a response, and it's the truth. For a couple of reasons. Here are a couple of things that happen. They're big. I suppose I went into it with a terrific amount of naivete. That people who were asking for a solution wanted one. And because the harm seemed to be caused by absence of relationship, that the huge piece of succor, the healing of the wound, was to be in relationship. And as a conduit for relationship, I cannot possibly, and I find it repugnant, really do, advocate for one interest group only. Because people say all kinds of things I don't agree with. And I didn't agree with some of the premises of CS1950. Just for an example. But in trying to build relationships and encourage relationships, way too open in my heart. My heart too much. Only to find that when it would have been a good thing for people who are aware of the genuineness of my aspirations to help, failed to show up to say, no, you shouldn't treat him like that, because he is actually a good guy. He is not our enemy. He's trying to help, and he's frankly done more than anyone else has. That's a general description of that piece. There were some very specific betrayals. And then there was the pretend protest, the phony protest that was put on, I believe, for the benefit of Spike Lee's cameras. So I've written the letter, working group is happening. Now here comes Spike Lee to campus wanting to document all this. Well, the marching and the protesting had happened. Next thing I know, I've gotten a warning from one of the members of CS1950.1 who said, here's what's on social media. Okay, good to know. So I'm up in my office and I'm having a meeting with the